What up, what up, what up, crew? What's good? It's your girl Sade, ready for another episode of the Crew Book Club podcast. Today, I can really say I'm ready. I feel so well rested. I do. I feel rejuvenated. They're taking those 2 weeks off of social. You guys really made a difference. It made me pivot some ways that I'm going to be doing social media planning, because you got to realize every time you level up and you completed one level, you're starting all over again on another level. It makes me think when I used to play video games. Yes, I was a gamer as a kid. I think we all kind of tapped in a little bit. But there was a part in, I think it was the Mario game, well, any game, where you could, especially Halo. But anywho, you could go from one level, but think about how many times you had to play the level to get to the next level. And then when you got to the next level, there was new things that you, one, didn't know was coming. Two, you had to repivot how you played the game, possibly. And it challenged you to think in a different way. That's the same thing with everything and what we do in life. There's always a level, and then you reach another level, and then you figuring out, okay, how can I get to the next level? So in this episode, we're on episode 91. Literally a few more episodes before 100. 9? 8? I can't count. Why I can't count from 90 to 100? That's 10, girl. Anywho, you know what I'm saying? Like, there comes a time where it's just like, okay, how we're going to do this. So taking those 2 weeks off made me see how the podcast is going to look like after 100 episodes. And it challenged me to show up in a way that I didn't think I was ever going to show up on this pod. Then also during those 2 weeks, I just felt like unplugged. It felt good not knowing what was going on. Not saying that when I'm on there regularly, I wasn't locked in, but it was one of those things where I didn't get caught up in the strolling once I did what I needed to do on social. It was nice I wasn't watching TV also. So it was just refreshing. I had more time to spend with my daughter. I made dinner every night, because when you do social media for marketing, it's like pumping out and trying to keep up with the analytics. And remember, I said on the other episode, like, God made it very clear to me that I needed to shut it down and that I was his marketer. And in that time, I've had buyer's presentations for real estate. I've been able to come up with my entire content calendar. There's a business that I'm working on that I'm excited to give. Like, there's just all these things that was like, and we talk about that in this episode, particularly in chapter 4, about the law of reflection. And I can't wait to get into that, because I felt like these past two weeks, I've had a moment to reflect on what that next level looks like for me personally and the crew. All right. Even in my real estate business, it was just a really nice break. And it also made me, I'm not going to say a break, it was a nice time of reflection. It also made me realize, like, I want to implement where I take a sabbatical, a week off from social every month intentionally. You know what I'm saying? And watching television, like to how can I put it? To cleanse my mind, my ears, my eyes, and what the intake looks like. Because your girl, I'll pull up a Love and Hip Hop in a minute. I like Housewives. Those are things, but those are also things I have to be aware of what I'm digesting in content. And so, yeah, I appreciated these 2 weeks of reflection. I will be back on, and it's going to be a little different. Different in the sense of how I show up for myself. Anywho, so yeah. Now it's just going to be more intentional and planned off, where you're still going to be in content, but your girl ain't going to be on there. Okay? So if I don't reply to an Instagram message or a Facebook message, shoot me an email at thecrewbookclub@gmail.com. That's how you can reach me in those moments. And actually, y'all, that's the best way to reach me is via email, because I know I'm gonna see it, especially when people do ask for advice on the crew, on what would the crew do segment. It's always best to just send an email to ask. I will see the DM, but I like having the emails too. All right. Well, we're gonna get into the episode. I'm not gonna waste your time. It's never a waste of time hanging with me. Anywho, we're gonna get into the first segment of the show. Who gonna check me, boo? God is. He is always checking us because we deserve a good check. Zach, okay? God definitely was checking me in these seasons of change and growth. And because I want greatness, I know that greatness in him requires more. And so I'm like, okay, God, use me as you see such. And I know if he asks me to do something, I'm protected. And it will be successful because it's through him. I mean, come on now. All right. I'm sorry. Who gonna check me, boo? God is. It came from this book. And it's not like a thick book. It's literally like a little pamphlet. And I left the pamphlet in my bag, child. But anywho, it's called God's Creative Power Will Work For You. It was a combo of scriptures. It was 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 16, John chapter 10, verse 10, 2 Peter chapter 1, 3 through 4, and Romans chapter 8, verse 31. And in this section of the book, it's about strengthening. And it was like, God is on my side. God is in me now. Who can be against me? He has given unto me all things that pertain unto life and godliness. Therefore, I am a partaker of his divine nature. And I was just like, I read that thing over and over and over. And then I had my daughter read it because I was on the phone with some family of mine. We have a Sister Soul FaceTime every Wednesday around 7 o'clock. And I got on really late, like an hour and 16 minutes late, because I was busy, then I was tired, then I lost track of time. But anywho, I got back on and I'm sitting on the couch, and the way our house is, like if you come down the hallway from the upstairs, it can get really dark and you can't see if it's nighttime and the lights are off. But my daughter has this fear of darkness. And I wanted her to read this because I wanted her to understand that she's a partaker in his divine nature. And one of the things about this pamphlet book is that God's creative power will work for you. It's all about the power of the tongue. And like when I was on the call, she was coming downstairs and she flipped on all these lights. And I'm like, Arj, you gotta turn the lights off. She was like, but I'm scared. I said, scared away. Ain't nobody over there. But of course, you know, she's 9 and there's monsters in her mind, but that's how the enemy come. And so I was like, y'all, I'm showing them. I flipped the phone. I was like, y'all, she's scared to go down the hallway like she don't live here. And I was like, girl, if you don't, and I was kind of speaking to her in a way of like, girl, stop. But then my aunt checked me. She said, in her form, at her age, that could possibly be a spirit. She didn't say possibly be. She said that is a spirit of fear. And because you have set your home up, like, to lean into God, like the enemy is going to try to get to somebody. And that is a way of getting to her. And so she was like, you're going to have to speak life into that and pray over that fear. Pray that fear out of her. And I was just like, oh my goodness. I never thought of it like that. Because in my mind, I'm like, girl, you live here, stop playing. Like, girl, turn off them lights. Like, you know, like that typical parent reaction. But in all reality, it was just like, that is that seed of fear. And so I wanted her to read that so she could understand God is on my side. So in that moment, when I got off the phone, I brought her to me, and this was before I read this, and I told her, I said, you do understand you are God's child, and no matter where you go, he goes. And I said, I want to challenge you, every time that you feel like you got to turn on the light because you're scared, remember that God walks through the valley of shadow and death. So what you think might be in this darkness is not. And understand that God is guiding you and he's with you. And I said, every time you want to turn that light on, I want you to challenge yourself to think the devil will not have control over my thoughts, over my fear, and I'm going to walk through here as a child of God as I am. And so when I read this, I said, Audrey, I want us to read this every morning. So we know that we are a partaker in his divine nature, and nothing, no one can stop us from that. And there's no fear that can overtake us. And so, yeah, that really checked me. I hope that checks you in some way. It's God is on my side. God is in me now. Who can be against me? He has given unto me all things that pertain unto life and godliness. Therefore, I am a partaker of his divine nature. You are a partaker in God's divine nature. So sis, you better act like it. You feel me? Okay, now, y'all all know I definitely believe in God, and I also believe in therapy. Okay, we can get checked in therapy too. You get checked by yourself in therapy. That therapist say something, you be like, say what now? And that has happened to me plenty of times in therapy, couples therapy too. Like it really you be going to go get therapy, you be going there to get answers for agreement with you, but no, if it's a good therapist, it will make you see yourself in a way that you never thought you saw yourself, and then you can have a whole moment within yourself internally, right? And so that's why I have a affordable, convenient way to get therapy, and it's with BetterHelp. They've partnered with the Crew Book Club, of the sponsor of this episode. And listen, you guys can get 10% off your first month of therapy. That's BetterHelp.com, CrewLove, BetterHelp.com//CrewLove. Now listen, I know some people are like, I don't need therapy. Have you even tried? Like, have you really tried? And if you say, well, I tried a few times, it just don't work for me. But I'm saying, like, just because you went, did you go with intention? Like, did you really go with an open heart to be able to receive? Like, going to therapy is like when you're reading the word, like, you can read the word of God and you can take it with you, but do you digest it? And then once you digest it, do you work it? Like, therapy won't work for you if you don't work it. Okay? Especially if you don't go in with an open mind. I think a lot of people go into therapy with a defense up to be like, I'm going to challenge you to be right. I'm going to challenge the therapist because this person doesn't know me. No, baby. This person was trained and educated to help you. And I think you have to go in with that mindset. So definitely give BetterHelp a try. It's so convenient, y'all. Like, you can literally schedule it on your break and go in. And then if you're like, well, therapy is expensive, now with BetterHelp, it is affordable. I think for my last month of therapy, I paid $125 for 4 sessions. You can't beat that. You know what I'm saying? We spend that on food we don't need. The money that you spend, you know how you go grocery shopping full time? You know how you go grocery shopping with your list, you get all your things, and then you still go out and buy food during the week? That equal out to that $100, maybe $200 that you spend on food, eating out. Eat that food at home, sis. Make that dinner and spend that money on your 4 sessions of therapy. You feel me? No excuse. No excuse. So check it out. BetterHelp.com//CrewLove. All right. Now we're going to get into chapter 3 and 4. Chapter 3 is the law of the mirror. Ooh, you already know. Chapter 4, the law of reflection. I love how he put this down. All right, so the law of the mirror, you must see value in yourself to add value to yourself. People can see all the, and this is coming from me, people can see all the value in you, but if you don't see it in yourself, it won't matter. They can be like, you're the prettiest person I ever seen. You're the smartest person I ever seen. You sound so beautiful and amazing when you sing. But if you don't believe in that thing, it don't even matter. Okay? So it starts off in the first page of the chapter, page 35. So why do many people fail to grow and reach their potential? Main reason is low self-esteem. Okay? And it goes on to page 41. I'm going to skip to that. Steps to build your self-image. Because I think we know, like deep down, we typically know what our low self-esteem is in the areas because we tend to sabotage or bury them. So I want to talk about steps to build your self-image on page 41. Okay? The first one, guard your self-talk. That don't even need no explanation. You already know. You talk to everybody else nice, but do you talk to yourself nice? I have this thing where I say, talk to me nice. And I don't just say that to other people, I say that to myself. Because once I'm able to talk to myself nice and people see how I handle myself, they're going to handle me with the same standard. And when I know how I need to be spoken to, I'm not going to put up with anybody disrespecting me. Okay? And they're not going to have the nerve to do it because they know how I roll. And if you do, I pray for you because I'm a child of God and you don't mess with me. Okay? I'm on the main line. All right? Second. Oh, before I even go to the second one, did you know, on page 41, it quotes this. By the time you're 17 years old, you've heard no, you can't an average of 150,000 times. And you heard yes, you can about 5,000 times. That's 30 no's for every yes. That makes for a powerful belief of I can't. And that's why it's so important how you speak to your kids as they grow. Constantly tell them, don't do that. Don't, no. Have a conversation with them and enforce a way to say yes or not right now. All right? Second way to build self-image. Stop comparing yourself to others. Page 42. Comparing yourself to others is really just a needless distraction. The only one you should compare yourself to, sis, is you. Your mission is to become better today than you were yesterday. Number 3, okay? Move beyond your limiting beliefs. We already know. We can limit ourselves so much. And so instead of limiting yourself, take the limits off. Okay. Step 4, add value to others. Oh, it is hard to feel bad about yourself when you're doing something good for someone else. In addition to that, adding value to others make them value you more. It creates a cycle of positive feeling from one person to another. It's electric. Boogie, wiggy, wiggy. Y'all, helping someone else is electrifying. It gives you gratification. It gives them gratification and thankfulness. And then they want to carry it on. You ever heard about those times where people be in a line and it continuously paying for other people's food? You know what I'm saying? Or if you ever felt like when someone opened the door for you, it made you inclined to open the door for someone else. It is electric to add value to others. It is a win-win situation. I feel like I'm in a season where God is like, I want you to serve. And I'm not just saying serve with the intention to get something back, because we can have a motive to serve. We can want to serve, but then there's always this internal motive for self. Like, I'm going to do this because I know if I do that, it's going to help me do this. No. God said, Sade, I need you to serve with intention that it's all about me and it has nothing to do with you. I was just having a conversation with the lady at my church, and she said, Sade, I'm so happy to have you part of the serve team, but if you ever need connections in anything, you let me know. And I said, oh, wow. But then God said, no, tell her. I said, I only want to connect with people and do things if God has asked me to. and told me this is where I need to be. Because I can sing. I've done praise and worship. I sung at church. It puts you on a really big stage where you can connect with people. And I remember saying, oh, I'm going to go. When I got back into real estate, I had really huge success in my church in Orlando because I was singing in a choir and people started to know me as a realtor. But I didn't go with the intentions of that being. I did the act that God asked me to do, was to sing. And that's all it was about. And then when he saw that he can trust me with that, I built genuine relationships. And then he brought me on to something else. A lot of times we don't add value to others with the intent of actually helping them. We tend to add value when we think it's going to serve us. And we have to become servers without motive. Okay? So I'm just saying. That segues into number 5 about steps to build your self-image. Do the right thing. Even if it's the hard thing. Okay? It says on page 45, every time you take action that builds your character, you become stronger as a person. The harder the task, the greater the character build. Stop being lazy and trying to get out of doing the hard things. Okay? Number 6, practice a small discipline daily in a specific area of your life. Be intentional. Intention. Okay, number 7, celebrate small victories. Okay? I mean, the smallest of things. When I'm with my clients for real estate, I celebrate them meeting with me. I celebrate them doing the mortgage application, even if they get denied. I celebrate them because they took a step that they were scared to take. Okay? Number 8, embrace a positive vision for your life based on what you value. Okay? Number 9, practice the one-word strategy. I love this. And I'm going to pick that up because that's part of your challenge. So I'll read into that when we get to the challenge of the week. Okay? All right. Now, number 10, take responsibility for your life. Do you hear me? I don't care what someone else did to you or how they did it. Take responsibility of what you played. You can't make them take responsibility for what they did. What you can do is you can take responsibility of how you ended up in the situation or how you're going to move forward and not react. Okay? Listen, I want to read this passage on page 48 right before we go into chapter 4. It says, and I feel him on this, so I'm saying this from my heart as well. I wish I could sit down with you, hear your story, and encourage you specifically in your journey. If you've had a difficult time and you don't feel good about yourself, I want to tell you that you have value. You matter. Your life can change and you can make a difference. No matter what kind of background you have or where you come from, no matter what traumas you've suffered or mistakes you've made, you can learn and grow. Y'all, I'm a testimony. You can become the person you have potential to be. You just need to believe in yourself to get started. And every time you take a step, think a positive thought. Make a good choice. Practice a small discipline. You're moving one step closer. Just keep moving forward and keep believing. Do you hear me? I need you. We need you. Somebody needs you. Okay? So keep going. All right? Your story is a testimony to bring someone else through. This is not about you. Okay? All right, let's get into chapter 4, the law of reflection. I love the quote that comes up on chapter 4 that opens it up. Learning to pause allows growth to catch up with you. Oh, so good. This is a quote by Peter F. Drucker. Follow effective action with quiet reflection. From the quiet reflection will come even more effective action. If you can ask anybody who know me, I'm all about effectiveness and efficiency. I do not like wasting time. I literally build my schedule based on my driving. If I'm coming over here, we need to do X, Y, and Z while I'm over here. Because if I got to go back home, I do not like to backtrack. I feel like that's the most ineffective thing to do. Okay? So it starts off on page 51. There are some kinds of growth that come to us only if we're willing to stop, pause, and allow the lesson to catch up with us. That was what my 2 weeks off of social was, my 15 days. It was a moment for me to reflect, pause, and really make sure I'm hearing clearly about what God wanted me to do. Because I felt like he was giving me a whole bunch of stuff, but then I realized it wasn't him. It was convoluted with what I wanted and then what he required. Okay, so I want to skip to page 53 because I want to talk about the power of pausing. And it says, here are my observations concerning the power of pause and how reflection can help you grow. All right, because a lot of us think we need to be doing all these different things to grow when we just need to take a moment and pause to reflect to make sure that we're growing in the right direction and being effective and efficient about our growth. The first one he mentions is reflection turns experience into insight. Okay? It says people have innumerably experiences every day. You may learn nothing from them because they never take the time to pause and reflect. That's why it's so important to pause and let understanding catch up with us. Woo! You know how many times in the past where something has happened and I was so quick to react to try to make it right, but I end up making it worse? You ever did that? And then realize after you made it worse, it's like if you would have just took a moment and chilled, that it could have came out better if you just took a pause. Because you could have really sat down and looked at the situation and gave your mind a beat instead of just reacting. Okay? Number two on the power of pausing. Everyone needs a time and place to pause. Okay? It says, if someone is going down the wrong road, he doesn't need motivation to speed up. He needs to stop and take a beat. Okay? Reflection allows those experiences to move from being life markers to life makers. The difference of pausing. It could change the whole situation if you just took a beat. Okay? Number 3, pausing with intention expands and enriches thinking. Okay? I'm telling y'all, you need to get this book. A quote from Henry J. M. Nowen said, when you are able to create a lonely place in the middle of your actions and concerns, your successes and failures slowly can lose some of their power over you. Okay? Jesus, just taking a beat can cause a situation to lose power. Because you're checking your emotions. You're allowing yourself not to react with your emotions. Do you hear me? Oh my goodness. But I really want to break down number 4 because there was a few parts in number 4 that I want to talk about. When you take time to pause, use your eyes, as in the letter I. Listen. Or you can use your eyes, EYES, to take a vision and a picture of what situation has happened and really dissect it before you open up your mouth. So you could use those eyes too. But I want to talk about the eyes he touched on, the letter I. Investigation, incubation, illumination. Ooh, okay. Investigation, keywords, ask questions. Y'all know how many times you probably reacted, me included, to something and we didn't know all the answers? Okay? Social media, you see one little clip and you done formed a whole story and opinion about something and you haven't even asked questions. Lord have mercy. Or someone tell you something about your spouse or your friend, and instead of going to them to ask the right questions, you will go down this whole rabbit hole of if, when, why, what, and then that ain't even the case. because you ain't doing an investigation. Okay? Incubation. The first thing, listening and learning. Okay? It says here, when I pray, I talk to God. When I meditate, I listen to him. Incubation is listening and learning. Whoa, right? Illumination. The epiphanies, sudden realization or insight. Those are your aha moments. Okay? Moments are the reward for committing time and effort to pausing and reflecting. Jim Rohn said, at the end of each day, you should play back the tapes of your performance. The results should either appall you or prod you. I was just like, oh my goodness. What do I take when those days when I have a really, really good day and I feel super empowered? Do I take a minute to be like, these are the things that I did to give me that applause? Or when I have those bad days, do you take a moment to say, what did I do that may have caused this to happen or triggered this to happen? And so that way you know how to combat those days. So take a moment to illuminate, okay? To realize those epiphany aha moments so you can have a sudden realization of insight. Now, this is the one, I got a lot highlighted, so listen carefully. Illustration. Most good ideas are like skeletons. They provide good structure, but they need meat on their bones. What would a speech be without good illustration? A flat outline. Jesus. What would a book be without fleshed out ideas, good stories, and insightful quotes? Fleshed out. That means you went through it. Okay? Illustrating is the process of putting flesh on ideas. You ever have a whole bunch of ideas and they sound really good, but you don't really deep dive into it? They just be coming out your mouth, but you don't really do the research to have the illustration of it. It don't have no meat. It's just a whole bunch of ideas. And I don't really like to talk about politics on this podcast, but this came to mind. Like, when people go about making campaign promises who never been president, it's like, just because you been in certain parts, that doesn't mean that you know everything to make the promises that you get done. Like, or what you think you can get done. You feel me? Or if you're in a meeting or at work and somebody has all these great ideas, but then you have a sit down about it to deep dive into it, it's just like, maybe that there is no meat on the idea because it's not going to yield the result that is needed for it to be effective. Okay? It also has in this section about illustration from a Peter M. Lunsky. All of us are watchers of television, of time clocks, of traffic on a freeway, but few are observers. Everyone is looking, not many are seeing. That isn't true for people who find a place to reflect and who are intentional about pausing to allow learning to catch up with them. Goodness, it made me think. I do this in the form of, after I leave church, I don't play no music. It'd be completely quiet because I really want to process the word, but have just a moment of quietness. So what I heard can kind of sink into my soul, into my body, to make sure that I'm not just going to church wasting my time to have a show, but I'm actually taking what I've learned to digest it and live by that word. Okay? Because we can have some shouting down moments in church, but then go right back out in the parking lot and your whole drive literally out the parking lot. And the first person that cuts you over, you doing the face, you doing the fingers, or it changes your whole mood and you done forgot what you went in church about. Oh, that makes me think of this time when I went to the Kirk Franklin concert with Maverick City. I think it was last year. And I made the mistake of parking in a parking garage, and it took forever to get out. But I could literally hear people honking. You know that honk that's aggressive, like that cursing you out honk? I heard that. These was the same people in there just worshiping God and coming out here acting a plumb fool cutting people off, looking at each other crazy. And I just sat there in awe. And I'm like, now, are y'all even reflecting on the experience that we just experienced? Like, come on now. So that was about pausing to allow learning to catch up. So take the law of reflection and observe concerning the power of pause and how reflection can help you grow. Okay? All right. So those are my favorite parts of chapters 3 and 4 that I wanted to share. Of course, there is plenty to read, but for the sake of time, this is why I encourage you to go and get the book. If you like those points, I'm telling you, this book will amaze you. Okay? So click the link in the show notes to order the book as well. All right. Now, thank you for everything. I want to talk about some crew love. Thank you for everyone that's subscribing. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review on Apple. Please, please, please leave a written review if you haven't already. If you click 5 stars, I will appreciate that too for the pod. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. You can also visit our website, thecrewbookclub.com. There's bookmarks, there's shirts. You can also order books there as well. So, and you can also follow us on Instagram, The Crew Book Club, as well as YouTube, The Crew Book Club, and subscribe. Also, we're on TikTok, fan base, and everything. So that is some crew love. I would really appreciate it. Now, before we get out of here, I want to talk about the challenge of the week and also leave you with a quote. Now, the challenge of the week is what I talked about, the 1-word strategy on page 47. And it was about, let me see, steps to build your self-image. And it was number 9, practice the 1-word strategy. It says, the first thing I do when I'm coaching someone who inspires to stretch, grow, and go higher in life is to have that person select the 1 word that best describes him or her. Once that person does that, it is as if he or she turned a page in the book and highlighted 1 word. Instead of seeing 300 different words on 1 page, the person's attention and intention is focused immediately on 1 single word, the single gift, what the individual focus on. Instead of seeing 300 different words on the page, the person's attention and intention is focused immediately on that single word, the single gift, what the individual focus on expands. So listen, what do I like? Why do I like this practice of picking 1 word? Because it tells you a lot about how you think about yourself. So I want you guys to try that this week. If you could pick 1 word about yourself, and it's on page 47, my word is integrity. It's integrity. I want to be who I am in public and behind closed doors. So when you meet me, you're going to be like, that is the girl that I hear on the podcast. That is the girl I see in action. Like, I want you to be on the other side of the room. I want to be in any situation where you see Sade. She is the same with the doors open and with the doors closed. Okay? And that is my vow. And whenever I think of integrity, I want my name associated. My quote-unquote slogan for real estate is where honesty and integrity lives. And for me to do that, I have to do that in all aspects of my life, not just in real estate. Okay? So I challenge you to pick 1 word that represents you. So that way you can have a daily reminder to keep you in check. Okay? So practice a 1-word strategy as your challenge this week. And I'm going to get you out of here with a quote of the week for you. And let me tell you something. You may be going through a lot, or your past has held you pigeonholed, and you keep going and you keep pushing through. Take this quote to heart. Hear me clearly. From page 55 in our book, The 15th Invaluable Laws of Growth. If you don't take the time to pause and reflect, we can miss the significance of such events. Reflection allows those experiences to move from being life markers to life makers. Okay? So, crew, go out and become a life maker by taking a moment to pause and reflect on what is happening. All right? Thank you for tuning in to the Crew Book Club podcast. I will holler at y'all next week. Hey! Or should I say, ow?